He's not a person standing in the ocean waiting for a wave to crash over him. He's surfing on the wave. He's closer to real-time thought, real-time intuition, and he's able to act on that intuition ahead of his competitors.
Watch how I flex, 3 o'clock in the morning. Exceeding my best every second I'm on it. Should I get rest? The money calling me. Time to get up if I actually want it. Hustling, knowing I'm doing the most. Huffing and puffing and spinning the shit into gold. Constantly growing while obviously knowing I'm ready. So truly grateful cause everything opening for me. 1 shot, 2 seconds, I'm on a mission. Only 3 steps to my perfection, no second guessing. Move the fuck back, let me embrace the open blessing. Before I clap back, show me aggression to teach a lesson. 1 shot, 2 seconds, I'm on a mission. Only 3 steps to my perfection, no second guessing.
This is WHCR 90.3 FM. You're listening to PJ's show, and I'm your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury. We're back for another edition here with our co-host, Malachi, Knowledge God, Allah. Welcome back to the show, my brother.
Peace, sister.
Today we'll be talking about the music industry, a topic that interests the both of us. We have a background in it. My work in media, I work with a lot of independent artists, a lot of local artists. We're playing one today, his music and the main interview of the show today, Brother Prince Imagine, also known as the Falsetto King, that has been doing a lot of work, putting out original music for many years. And we've spoken also, Brother Malachi, about the music industry. I think it's an important topic because so many people around the world really love and appreciate music. And what has happened with the music industry right now that it's being monetized on a global scale, there's different things that happen within the music industry that affects us as just regular listeners and those that are in the entertainment industry, whether it's directly working within it or on the outskirts. I would say, like, my work is where we're reporting on and we're engaging artists and things like that. And the music industry is a scary place, but you have some experience with it.
Yes, definitely. Back in the 90s, I used to promote parties locally here in New York City. And, that was my introduction into the music industry. And then I was fortunate enough to meet my elders, the Aleems, the fantastic Aleem twins, Tahaka and Tunde Ra, as well as their older brother Tajuddin, who had a studio in Times Square, and actually the same building that the Coca-Cola sign is at in Times Square. And they introduced me to the music game, and I learned a lot. And then from there, I went to work at, and I was doing promotions at Loud Records. I was doing street promotions with Loud Records, Rockefeller Records, and Wu-Tang Records, and a few others. And then I became an A&R at Loud Records. So I got to see a lot coming from the creative side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good place to be when we talk about entertainment, because there's a lot of aspects that go into it, whether you're talking about behind the scenes, production-wise, things like that, management, business side of it. It is a very multifaceted industry. And one of the things that I've noticed that concerns me is the rights of these artists that are not so much, I think, in the forefront of the industry. The money comes first, and a lot of other things, image, messages that are going out in the world and things like that, influence that leaders, I would say, the people who are in charge have a say in what is actually presented to us as consumers. And those folks often are more concerned with those things than the actual artists themselves. Michael Jackson spoke about how in the end, especially a lot of our Black and brown artists, they end up meeting a tragic end. And it's, really sad to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. But it is, too, being that the hip-hop community, a lot of us come from the streets. And, when people get in the music industry, we still got a lot of the same habits, like eating habits and social habits. And the thing is, like life is about making progress. And, once artists reach a certain level of success, it's important to also, take up the eating habits to the next level. You know what I mean? Because a lot of artists, when they're on tour, they eat fast food. They eat food from restaurants that has little or no nourishment, and it's taxing on the body when they're out on tour.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that that's one thing that needs to change about the music industry. When an artist is on tour, there needs to be certain safeguards in place. I remember hearing many artists, one comes to mind is Mariah Carey, who was hospitalized for exhaustion. I can't remember the other names right off the bat, but I remember that it stuck out in my head. I was a little bit younger, and it stuck out to me that someone that has resources, that would have like medical people at their disposal, people are around them all the time, people who are managing their finances, their business, managing, their shows, making sure that they're at the shows, their schedules, like everything. Everything is kind of laid out for this person to succeed, right? To excel, right? But they end up being exhausted, working to the point where they have to be hospitalized for exhaustion.
The industry, to tell you the truth, we can't confuse the music aspects, the creative aspects of the industry with the business side, because when we talk about the industry, for the most part, we talk about the business, right? And it's a very cutthroat, selfish, conniving industry. You know what I mean? Because all they care about is money. Now, on the creative side of things, artists don't look at it that way. Most don't, anyway. And most artists just want to be heard and want to express themselves. You know what I mean? But the people that are around them, and the people at the end that work on the business side, at the record labels and all that, they're a bunch of cutthroat snakes for the most part. It's very seldom that you have some honorable people in the industry. You know what I'm saying? And because we appreciate the artists so much, we thinking like, all right, boom, like the artists are speaking about this positivity. We thinking like their whole crew is like that, but that's not usually the case. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people that are around them are leeches and just thinking about how they can make money and not thinking about the well-being of the artists. And we have so many cases of artists who have passed on like that from, even before Jimi Hendrix and all them, but, bringing it up to this level, you know what I'm
saying? Yeah. We can only hope. So we're going to get into our next segment, which is PJ and the Chef. And later on in the show, we're going to be speaking to Brother Prince Imagine. We're listening to his music also on today's show. An amazing artist, also known as the Falsetto King, an amazing voice, an amazing falsetto ability. And we also talk about artistry and in the industry as well. So everyone, keep it locked. We'll be right back. This is 90.3 FM WHCR. PJ's show and Alakai Knowledge, God Allah.
Peace, peace.
It's a move, it's a thing. Dark, rich. I'm lit. Whole world know I'm the shit. Through a touchdown, perfect pitch. All this dark chocolate, so rich, so rich. I'm lit. Whole world know I'm the shit. Through a touchdown, perfect pitch. All this dark chocolate, so rich, so rich. Oh, you really wanna be me? Always want what you don't need. Take my style, get a high profile. Got lost in my sauce, now you switch teams. You envy change that you can't achieve. See the whole world rotates off for me. Pure gold, uncut, straight royalty. My blood gives life to your prophecies. It's destiny, I will proceed. No, nobody can stop me. Hey, pretty lady, put your crown on. Look, young king.
This is WHCR 90.3 FM. You're listening to PJ Show, and I'm your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury. It's time for our segment, PJ and the Chef. And today we have Chef ISRA. Welcome to the show, Sister ISRA.
Greetings to everyone. Greetings, Sister PJ. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, good thanks. I appreciate you coming on with us today to tell us about your work as a chef first. And we're going to go over a really great recipe. I can't wait to share it with everyone. But please do tell us about your business, who you are.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm Chef ISRA Gordon. At the moment, I'm operating a vegan alkaline cafe at the Flatbush Central. But this is a journey. This is a journey of health and wellness that has landed me as a vegan alkaline chef and with a vegan alkaline lifestyle at the cafe. So the cafe provides meals for the community on a daily basis, also a meal subscription, so they can stay healthy while they work, while they're busy. And I guide them on this journey as a holistic health coach and also plugging in with functional nutrition with my training. So I'm happy to serve the community and also to provide creative, delicious, nutritious dishes on a daily basis.
Oh, wonderful. So what are we making today?
Wow. I had to choose because as a chef, I'm always flooded with ideas, creativity. The minute time you start thinking about food, because food is our medicine, food is our fuel. If I walk by a vegetable store, I'm thinking, oh, I can make this with that. And so today I just want to share because there's some things that I work with on a daily basis and some things that are in the area of vegan and alkaline lifestyle, which is what a lot of people are kind of wondering what it's about right now, and people do have an opportunity to find out more. But today I want to share some things that I work with, and this is a bread. Bread is like a simple staple product that it's easy to make. And I find that a lot of times when you have to buy a vegan bread out there, it's so expensive. So I chose to share something that is simple and something that is fun and also something that you can build on, because it's always good to give you something that is foundational and then you can work with it to create your own. So today we want to do a simple bread that is made with sweet potatoes. Go ahead and give you that recipe now. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Get your pen, get your paper, open up your mind. So I work with different kinds of flours. So I'm just going to name a few of them. I work with yucca flour, plantain flour, breadfruit flour. I don't really like to get a gluten-free flour that's already made for you. But I also work with some other flours that are low in gluten and organic flours. So we want to make a bread with the sweet potatoes or yams, which you call them. The Caribbean sweet potatoes, they're a little bit drier when you're working with them. Not that you can't work with them. You can. You can also make that bread with the purple potatoes. So you have three choices here. The orange potatoes, which is the ones you call yam, American yam, or the purple potatoes, which are beautiful and would give a really nice texture and color to your bread. Also benefits. You get more benefits depending on the potato you work with. What you want to do is you want one medium potato and you want to just boil that potato, peel the skin off, and set that aside. That's the first part of your recipe. Then you need 4 cups of, I would use spelt flour or sprouted grain flour in this recipe. You can use vegan butter for this recipe, or you can use olive oil. I like to use olive oil because I get amazing benefits from the olive oil. So here it is. We have the potato. We have our flour. And the olive oil, I would use like about a quarter cup of olive oil. Actually, let's increase that. Let's bump that up. Let's use half a cup of olive oil in this recipe. We want to use enough olive oil, not that we make a greasy dough, but that we make a soft dough. It softens the strands of the gluten and supports the structure of the bread. Then we want to have, you can use like, let's see, I'm thinking of the sugars that I would give you guys to use in this recipe, because not all sugars, I don't use honey. I know you would think, oh yeah, honey would be a good thing to support that, but if you would ever like to use honey, because honey is acidic also too. If you want to use honey in that recipe, it would have to be raw honey. But in my recipe, I would use some sugars, which is like cane sugar, not the regular brown sugar that you find. I would use date sugar. So date sugar is my regular. So if you want, it doesn't feel sweet like other sugars. You would use a tablespoon of the date sugar. You would use in this recipe 3 teaspoons of yeast. And for the blooming of your yeast, you would use another quarter cup of water. And for the recipe itself, you would use another 2 cups of water. But you would save that because you may not need all of the water in that recipe. You just want to have the 2 cups of room temperature water ready. And also in this recipe, I use a tablespoon of white balsamic vinegar. I'd like to use in this recipe either chia seeds and flax seeds, or sometimes I use both. I get really fun with adding ingredients to my breads that's going to really make them fortified. So I use pumpkin seeds, I use flax seeds and chia seeds. When you're using the flax and chia seeds, it's 2 ways you can use it. You can use flax as a meal. So as a meal, you can put like 2 tablespoons of that. It would act like an egg in the recipe, and also would help to keep it soft, but you also get in the benefit of the flax, and you get in the benefits of the chia seed that help you make things more digestible, and also you get in the benefits of the chia seeds in terms of nourishment and nutrition. So you have your chia seed, your flaxseed, pumpkin seed. Look at all the great benefits already you have in this recipe. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have allergies to these, because people have all kinds of allergies these days, you can omit them. This is optional. You don't have to have them. That we're making today, which is the sweet potato bread, we would have the oven at 400 max. Okay. So in your bowl, you would put your dry ingredients, which is your mashed sweet potato, your flour, your salt, and most of your sugar except for about a teaspoon. Now, you're saving that teaspoon of sugar because what you're going to do with that, you're going to put that in another bowl on the side. That's for the fermentation of your yeast. So you're going to put your yeast and your warm water and your sugar. You're going to stir that, cover that, and set that aside so your yeast would bloom. It just needs a couple minutes. A warm place would help the process faster. That's like probably close to your oven, not on the stove, close to your oven in a warm place. And you want to make sure that your oven is on, it's working. You see the temperature is at the temperature you want it to be at, so you call that your preheated oven. Making the bread itself, gathering the ingredients probably takes you about 5 to 7 minutes, and then the actual making of the bread, it's probably it's less than half an hour altogether. Mixing of the dough is probably about another 7 minutes. And the baking of the bread is probably about 12 minutes in the oven, depending on how your oven is calibrated. Your dry ingredients are in the bowl. What you want to do is make like a well in the center, which makes it easy. And then you would pour your liquid. You would pour your water. Now you can substitute your water for almond milk or oat milk,
Really?
to give a more richness to your bread. So you add your liquid in the center of the dry ingredients. And now so your dry ingredients, which included your mashed potatoes and your flours, whichever you choose, you make sure that's kind of like mixed together. And then now you're just going to use your wooden spoon, and you would stir the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients until it comes together. Now, for the large amount of water, remember, you're not just adding all the water. You're just going to add part of the water, and then you mix until it becomes a soft dough. You want to be able to, not have something that is dry with dry flour around, but you want to have something that the ball of dough comes together. It might feel a little sticky, and if that happens, you probably can just pour a little bit more olive oil to the surface and just round that up. And then you want to cover that in a place for the fermentation process to take place, where you have all these air bubbles being distributed throughout the dough, and it would cause the dough to rise. These ingredients would help this dough to be softer, so it's not a lean dough like that. So you would set that aside and let that ferment. You're looking on that. You really don't want to give it a lot of time, because you're not looking for a lot of fermentation. We're not looking for it to be double in bulk, but you want to put that in a warm place, really nice warm place. Maybe if you have another side of your oven, or up top of your oven, up top of your stove, you may have a shelving where you can just set your bowl up there covered with a damp towel, and just give that a little time. I would do 10 minutes is a good amount of time. You can give that more time. And in the meantime, you want to prepare what you're placing your dough in, what you're placing your bread in. So you can take this same dough, and you can use a muffin pan and make very small breads. You would oil your muffin pans with olive oil, or you can use like a loaf pan and oil that pan with olive oil again. You may put some parchment paper in there to help it, easily remove the bread from your pan when it is baked. Or you can use a glass bowl, to bake off a round bread, whichever you choose. Or you can just get a flat pan, and you can put your bread on that pan. After you round it up, you can just put that on your pan to bake. To check for if your dough is ready, when you touch your dough, you would see a little bit of an indentation. Okay, if you see a little bit of an indentation and it's not resisting, then your bread is ready to put into the oven. Take your spoon and move your dough from one end to the center, and from the opposite end to the center. What we're doing, we're redistributing the gas that was formed during the fermentation process of the dough. I mean, even if you would have given it 10 minutes,
okay,
and then make up your dough and then given it 10 minutes and then bake it off, your dough still be fine, because it's not a lean dough that requires you to have all this long fermentation going on to create the different holes and stuff like that. This dough is a softer, more nutritious type dough. So it doesn't require the same type of work, after you have mixed your flour. So I would love to hear from you and see when you prepare your bread, your results, and then also when you eat it, how you enjoy it. Looking aside from the regular breads that you would find in the stores that doesn't have the nutrition, that doesn't behave the same way in your body, but looking at something that is giving you all this nourishment, the aroma that comes out of the bread when you're baking it in the oven and when you pull it out of the oven, and the best part of it is when you're sitting down to enjoy it. Make sure you give it a couple minutes after it comes out of the oven. You don't want to burn yourself trying to eat that hot bread, because I know you'd be tempted because of the smell, the sweet potato. Oh, another thing, wow. Because the sweet potatoes are in there, you can add more spices to your dough also too. Oh, we're getting really creative here. You know, you can add cinnamon and ginger and nutmeg, just a pinch of those things in your dry ingredients. So that's just on the side from making the dough. You can do the bread the way that I shared with you, but you can also add these little tips on your next try to make your bread. Remember, it's a creative process. For everyone, it's sometimes a bit of a trial and error, just feeling it out and seeing what I need to have more of and what I need to have less of, and making it your very own bread. What I'm doing is sharing here the things that you can do, and giving you some options with the recipe, and so you can go to work in the kitchen and have fun.
This is really great. Thank you so much, Chef Ezra. I mean, this is amazing.
Yes, you're very welcome. And I just want to offer this. They can send me a message in my email if they're about to make the bread and they have thoughts, they have questions, they have certain doubts, whatever. They can send me a note in my email, and I would respond to them and share with them and give them the guidance that they need so they can get the success in producing their favorite bread that they choose to do on that day.
Oh, that's wonderful. Can you please provide the email again?
Okay, that's mintporchcafe@gmail.com.
Hey, wonderful.
A page on Instagram. It's Mint Porch Meals on Instagram. We also have a Facebook page. It's Mint Porch Cafe. But you can also visit us at the cafe.
So much for coming on for this segment of PJ and the Chef.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here to share.
This is WHCR 90.3 FM. We're going to play a musical selection and be right back.
That's part of life. Life is part of mistakes. Most of my greatest lessons happen through my mistakes. But once you make a mistake and you realize it's a mistake, you are morally obligated to make a change.
A picture perfect for broke bitches and drug dealers. Whether I say of a hotep is nothing different. The quickest way to repair a soul is letting go. But you too caught up with popping bottles and saving hoes. How you living with this condition? Such a predicament. Trying to get birth with your tubes tied. Watch the deliverance. Keep repeating the same game. Look who you came with. New goals with their souls never will change. Either get killed or I heal. See, I gotta release. Either get killed or I heal. See, I gotta release. Either get killed or I.
It's Imagine.
Hey. Please be heard by all the beautiful listeners that will be hearing us out. And I'm thankful to be on this show today.
Thank you. I appreciate you, my brother. For a while now, a few years now.
Sure.
I know your dad. I'm so sorry. You
That's...
are, in your own right, but I would be remiss if I did not mention your dad. I'm sorry, all due respect to the King Simon. You are the Prince Imagine, but your dad, King Simon, is a legend in these streets. I've known King Simon for many, many years as well.
Simon Templar, if you had, or Anthony or Brown, Simon Templar. A lot of people know him as, worlds of SOBs and stages that he hosted from Madison Square Garden to every major venue except for Barclays. So, so he's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. An artist as well as a promoter, which is how I got to know him. Master promoter. There's not a lot of people that can get that title who, put on an event and have it sold out every single time, because just understanding the mastery of promotion. So that was really great to see. So we salute the King Simon.
Salute King Simon.
And so how does it feel like kind of coming up, you're the next generation to, carrying on his legacy here in New York City? How does it feel to kind of be on the shoulders of a giant like that?
Let me be honest. So I wasn't raised with King Simon, y'all. So, I got acquainted with him back in 2011 when I came up here. So, and I was able to witness a lot of how he orchestrated these events, and it was definitely, I would say, a learning period, because I never really experienced, in the capacity of events, seeing someone create the event, set up for the event, and then host the event. And then on top of that, now get the people to come for the event, as well as get, if there was guest speakers and things of that nature, to be at the event and now do their thing at the same time. So vetting all those things and now being able to complete it at the same aspect. It was an interesting learning journey there, in the world of now carrying on the legacy of that. I'm still adjusting, I would say, right? I'm still learning. And as King Simon is still doing King Simon, as many people that know him, he is still doing his events down south right now, not in New York, down south in Georgia. But here, I'm still filtering out exactly how I would like to present that field of entertainment, or how he would say it, edutainment. Well, yeah, still filtering out, but, I do see a lot of my goals in entertainment to now respond off of the success of what he was able to do. But now, of course, as we all want to, it's expanded, right? And it's interesting because I'm like, well, since he did every other major venue, I got to do Barclay. So that's a goal. If anything else, I'm like, to extend the legacy is to now do something at the Barclays. Aspirations in regards of his legacy and that capacity of learning through all the experiences of seeing him.
Discover your individual talent. Again, King Simon is an artist, did music, and you do music, and your voice is very unique, your style is unique, different. So when did you discover your talent, and how did you also hone it?
So I discovered my talent when it was my lifestyle, honestly, because my mom, she was a singer. I didn't know that my father was a singer until I was in my teens, more so, what I was being told, because, when you're young, you're not really thinking about those type of things. But my mom was a singer. I used to see back in D.C., because I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I was raised out south in Georgia. But before that, I was in D.C. We used to go back and forth. For all you, DMVers out there, y'all know how it goes. You're going from Maryland to D.C. to Virginia, if you was going to Virginia, but we were definitely going from Maryland to D.C. because they're neighbors. You could walk across and you like, well, I'm here. So she was a neo-soul. I mean, they didn't call it neo-soul then. It was more jazzy, just jazzy R&B. And I got to watch her. I used to sit on the outside like this. How I can remember it was that we go to this place and I'm sitting on the outside while she's in the inside recording, because, you can't make so much noise when you're recording. But I didn't know that I can sing, but I just used to sing some of the sounds that I was hearing. And I used to hear my grandma sing and watching her and listening to her. And I used to be singing hymns. I didn't know I can sing, right? But I knew I had something, because around 7 years old, I started off painting. So I'm a painter as well. I do a lot of things, but I started painting. We had a school. We was painting at a school. So I'm in kindergarten, we're painting. And I drew Martin Luther King. I didn't know. I just was good at seeing something and drawing it. And I'm 6 years old, 6 going on 7. I'm drawing it, and then I finished. But the teacher came and she was like, hold up, you did this? I said, yeah, I did this. Yeah. I'm thinking it's nothing. I'm like, what is this? This is me just having fun.
Little doodle.
Right. This lady takes this picture and submits it to, I end up being selected. I was, second place. I didn't like being second place. I can tell you that much. But I earned second place, y'all. Someone drew Anita Baker. I was Martin Luther King, and another person drew, who was the other one? I can't remember. But they submitted it in the museum. I can't remember the museum, y'all. I'm sorry about that. But they submitted it in the museum. That's my starting page. They submitted it in the museum. So my name, somewhere, my picture is in a museum. It was in the Children's Museum during the time, back in the 90s. So whatever museum was there, they got my picture. And I guess when I blow up or something, they'll actually reveal it to me like, yeah, we got this. We have this. Then we fast forward. I'm now in Georgia, and then I started finding love in music and wanting to play the music. So I started xylophone. It was xylophone first, and I did the Nutcracker. If y'all ever heard of the Nutcracker, I was part of the Nutcracker show in Georgia. And I'm like, oh wow, I was in the play and I'm doing the xylophone for them at intermission. And then wanted to play the piano. Then I started playing the piano, and then I was able to perform in front of the whole school, and I did the best. And then wanted to be a writer, so I wrote my first book and I shared it to my mom. Nothing serious. Then it started from writing. It was watching and listening to Tupac, and before he died, and then even after he died, I was still hearing his music. Then I wanted to become a rapper, right? From rapping,
it's a magic. It's a rapper.
So, from rapping, it became one day it was 7th grade. I remember. And I used to still hum. I never thought I was a singer. But it was then, during that time, when I realized that, oh, maybe I am a singer. Because everybody was telling me that, no, you sound good. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't know. But then I sung in front of a class, and I was like, I just got a experience that I never assumed I would receive from just doing something that I thought was just natural, normal, and everybody does it. But I'm like, no, everybody don't do this. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a singer now. That was my first experience, singing, how I got acclimated in being a singer anyway, because I did so much. It started painting, then from painting, it was the xylophone, and from the xylophone, it was the piano, and from the piano, it was writing. But I was in between, I was doing the writing, and then from the writing, it was the rapping, and then from rapping, it was like, oh, I can sing, but I already knew I can sing, but I didn't know I can sing. And I became the singer because I was pushed to sing when I wasn't ready.
Do you love it?
Yeah, I do. Interesting enough, they said, you love something when you wake up doing it. And I used to wake up just singing. My family used to laugh at me. It's like I used to be asleep, and they'll hear me whistling songs while I'm asleep. You know what I mean? And even when I wake up, I'm hearing a song. I'm always hearing a song in my head. Whether it's just what it is. And I'm sure other artists can relate to it. Is that the music is there? It's in everyone. And it's expressed differently through everyone. So for me, it was always there. And then you can just say that, yes, because the genes of my father and my mother, I didn't know that he was doing what he was doing, but I knew that my mom was singing, but I didn't know that he had the skills of painting and drawing and things. I didn't know he used to do those things, but it's amazing how the genes activate, if it's meant to activate within that child, if that's what they want to do. But it always comes out, no matter what.
So what was the first project or song you actually put together?
Wow. So whoever got that, I would love to receive it, right? But the first song I sung, I was going to go to American Idol. That's when American Idol just first came out. And I got scared. But I wrote a song. And I ran to my mom. I looked at it. It's my first song. And I said, okay, sing it. So I sung it for her. And she called my grandma. She's like, Adam, you have to sing it to your grandma. I was like, okay, let me sing it to my grandma. So I sung it to my grandma. And I can't remember that song. That's crazy. That's the crazy part. But at that time, my father wasn't with me, but I have a stepdad. And then older brother was that version of encouragement for me. And he said, Adam, I didn't like that song. And I'm like, oh. So it threw me from wanting to now, because I had someone invited me to go to American Idol. And she made it to the finalists, finalists on audition side, not finalists now in the matters of the American Idol. She made the finalists of audition. But I'm like, what would have happened if I did go? Because she got that far. And there was never a child that went and did their thing. But I lost the encouragement to go because my older brother was that encourager. And he was just angry at the time, as he told me later in the years. I'm like, do you know what that did? Like, I could have done this. Who knew what would come out of it if you would have simply just...
That's why it's so important. People don't realize when you're a role model. And sometimes you don't feel like a role model. You're like, I'm just myself. I'm just trying to live in this world. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, who am I modeling for? But we actually are role models for other people. And what we say, whether we encourage or discourage people, actually has a lot to do with how, they perceive the world, how they react and, move forward. That's why bullying is so dangerous. So, that's really interesting.
I didn't want to sing from that because of that. I thought I wasn't a singer. I didn't have the confidence that day as I would have if he had gave me that word of encouragement. As everybody else, I thought they was just doing it. Then I took it as my mom was just doing it to be nice rather than to actually revere me and say, no, you that was a great job.
Yeah, your brother's kind of means a little bit more,
because we were around each other all the time. He's my older brother. I'm like, you're my father in that capacity. I see you as my dad, but he didn't like that. I mean, I understand, but we was in a big family, so attention that we got was limited because we had to share it. So it made sense that he wanted some of that attention because that's what he knew in retrospect to school, because he was a very popular young man.
That reminds me of kind of like the Jackson 5. It would have just come together. I could have been a force. Does he sing or anything?
He was a good dancer. He was always a great. He wasn't a singer, but he just had the personality. He was just an attractive young man that was able to just charm everybody. He was a very good charmer. And he was great at sports. So that was his gift. He was just good at sports, good at sports, and just good at charming. I wouldn't lie to you. He was the popular kid, and I was the weirdo during the times. And it was funny because people wouldn't think that me and him, the difference in worlds. That's a book for me. I gotta write that.
Oh, listen, I already got my book in the book. Chronicles of the Weird Girl.
Look, isn't that interesting?
We are kindred spirits because
we need to talk about the weirdos. We are weirdos, and the weirdos are the innovators and the creators of this world.
Yes,
exactly. Do not stop the weirdo in the child. That's all I gotta tell y'all.
That is very true.
Allow that to come out because you don't know what that child or that person has to offer the world. Because it may mean the world for you just to acknowledge that they have something. It's different. Yeah, everyone is unique. Right. That's true. Everyone has a way of how they express their version of God.
I guess it's like when you don't conform to what's, I guess, more popular or, what's the dominant thing at that time, and then you just get placed in that place. But as you were talking just now and kind of putting that together, it reminds me of the poetry that you do. You do the haikus, the short poetry.
Yes.
And you give a message, and, it's things to make you go, You know what I mean? I didn't think about that way. How did you, start that series?
I've always been, I would say, intellect. I always liked reading books. I always liked writing. That's just naturally me. I write. Again, everything that comes through me is an expression of God. As everything that comes through us as a whole is just God's expression, right? And that idea, I always, honestly, I was at a poetry setting where we used to link up during the pandemic, y'all. So shout out to everyone that made it through, much respect and love for those who did, and that time, that's when it happened. Poetry. It was, because I've always been a poet, because singing is poetry slowed down and rapping is poetry sped up, right? Yeah, there was a group, so they had a setting, and they still do these type of things if y'all have been looking for stuff like this, where, you have a writing group and there's a theme, and everybody used to have a minute or 2 minutes, and it was deep too. It wasn't just your average flowers. Talk about flowers. No. She used to give definitions and vocabularies that I didn't hear about, but meant this, or meant, the expression of this, or the expression of God. This is what this means. This the definition of this word means this. Now express that. And we had a minute or 2 minutes, and she timed it, and all you hear is thing. Oh shit! Okay, I can't finish up my writing. So everybody they wrote what they expressed about what was presented to them, and then now they shared it if they wanted to. And all the time, I always like simplicity, direct, hit you in the face in few words. And I learned that through telemarketing. If you want to sell something, you don't want to oversell by talking too much. You want to have it simplified, the message simplified. And they gave us a message, but then you have to now make it yours. And I wanted to be able to get the sell as quick as possible without them feeling like it was a sell, but more so it was theirs. That I was them and they were me, and we were just simply saying yes to what we was both agreeing to. See, that was a sell right there.
So, didn't tell you anything. You wanted this.
No, we both want this.
We both wanted it.
This is both of ours. I'm gonna see you later tonight. Yes, nice. Adam. Thank you. Right. So that's what it was. I always like straight to the point quotes that change your perspective subtly or aggressively. And during that time, I was, so a brother was like, he said this, and they started coining me the guy with the haikus. Okay, I guess I said, I'm doing poetry, but he said this guy, and one guy hit me and said, you know what? It'll be dope if you did a book on haikus. And I'm like, interesting, right? And that's it. Now back to 2024. Now I'm actually releasing haiku quotable poetry, right? And what it is me sending a message revolving around. I don't want to give y'all too much of the idea, you know what I mean? But the idea is there for people to learn too. And messages catered to specific events. I got lips, y'all. Holidays, seasons. These music, songs, words, and even to the degree frequencies to now help you heal in the capacity of what the month is representing.
Project out, is it an EP or?
So this is a mixtape, y'all.
Okay.
Right? It's what it is. Yeah, it's a mixtape, right? Because this is not my beats. It's re-engineered, restructured beats, you know, of popular songs.
Oh, nice.
Majority of them. I'm changing faces. And
I like your covers a lot. Actually, one of the first times I saw you and I actually met you, which is why I know for certain you are the falsetto king. You did This Is a Man's World.
This is a man's world, yes.
And maybe they're not going so far up in the falsetto range, but that song really takes your voice.
Yes.
Like, seriously. That's a dope song for you.
Yeah.
Shout out to James Brown. Yeah. Dope artist, you know, one of the people that perfected it. You know, you would think that looking at his set or something like that, it was messy, it was all over the place, but that was it. And that was perfected, which is quite amazing. And he has a lot of respect. He was known as the hardest working man in the music business.
Yeah. He's the most sampled man at that too in music, you know. So, I mean, Chadwick Boseman, just to add to the concept of James Brown, he played him so well that it changed my performance. Nice. That moment I was able to watch that movie, this was back in 2015. For me, that's when I watched it. And I knew it came out earlier than that, but to see the story, how they presented it, it changed my total projection of how I perform. And that's when I came out with this piece called As God Walks. From there, everything changed. I just changed how I presented art. Because it's all like James Brown was like, it's about the feeling, it's the beat. Y'all, it's the beat. How are you making people feel that beat? And I'm like, yes, I gotta make these people feel the beat. Because it's not enough just to sing the piece. It's not enough just to hear it. You have to feel it. And, you know, I got the feeling. I got the feeling.
And it's when you know that Michael Jackson was inspired by him. You know what I mean?
They are, yeah.
We are a community of legendary artists, and it's great those that have come before the artists now, people that, you know, really have to study them to really understand like what to do, because they were originating. Like you're saying, there's a lot of sampling going on right now, but it's very hard. It's a different experience to be that originator, and you really have to come, you know, raw, you know, from your raw talent. It was a great time for music.
Yeah, and you know, music I think is going back, you know, to where it needs to be, as long as we keep it that way, right? You know, and not, you know, it definitely with these contracts, y'all, as you know, as artists, to not be subjected to losing the integrity of our artistry by way of contract, because we're becoming slaves of contracts, and these contracts are stopping the natural flow of how art has always evolved us, you know.
There's been a few that have been able to move within the industry without contracts and things like that. It really depends on what you want your career to look like, because unfortunately the big distribution companies kind of have that, they cornered the market, you know, so to speak. I mean, the internet makes it a lot better, but I know like Spotify and Apple Music have made some tweaks recently that kind of favors more of
Spotify is dangerous.
Okay. Let's just put it out there.
Let's put it out there. Hey, if you throw an audiobook on there, they're able to take the idea and make a movie out of it and not have to pay you.
What?
Yeah.
Which is what they've been doing for so many years. Anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they've been doing it all. But now, they're telling you they put it in their contract. And if Spotify did it, what does that mean for every other? Just like they say, the moment you post it on social media, if you post a picture, I can legally use it. I can legally use your content. This content that we're giving them is usable. So anybody can make an idea for me and not be sued because you posted it on their platform.
I mean, it's crazy because ethically, right? And that's why it's different. Ethics is very different from legality, right? But ethically, if someone uploaded original content to your site, and that's why it's very difficult to really know everything. They put everything in these fine prints, like the devil's is in the details. Yes. Even if they gave you a contract straight up, the legalese, the amount of information in it, is boggling.
Overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. And like, even when we get these phones, even when we get an app and they're like, agree to these terms.
Now they have to now cover their assets, because it become a liability to not put it in the faces of the public.
But who can read that, though?
No one can, but they now have to just simply push the button there. They make it so easy for you to just accept defeat by saying yes or no. You can read all this if you want to, but there's people that do read it. There's people that do control their content. It's just a matter of, as they say, unfortunately in our community, as we're still seeing today, if you want to hide something from people, put it inside a book. Put it inside a pamphlet that has to be read. Put it inside an email that's 20 pages long, because they're not willing to read. And we need to read. We have to re-add this information so that we know how to now filter the junk and see more of the funk. Like James Brown said, funk. Let's get the funk in. That's not no junk. More funk.
Yeah. Because, and some artists did educate themselves and, got a lawyer at least. Yeah. Like, all right, thank you so much, big music company and execs, for this presented contract. Let me go and talk to my lawyers about this first. And that has helped some artists. But then the industry got smart, like, okay, well, let's get them young. You know what I mean? They don't know anything about, having to get a lawyer or something to get, people that are vulnerable, certain way.
Be prepared for an opportunity and not get it, then have an opportunity and not be prepared for it. And a lot of people are getting opportunities and not prepared for it. And then once they see what the job is or the toll it requires, they can't back out of it because it's too late. And now integrity is involved, or what you wouldn't expect out of what you love now becomes a burden. Who wants to be an artist?
Yeah, and be
and
burdened.
It becomes burdened.
Because then it just stifles the music. It's changed so much over the years. We're, I think, in a good place in terms of what the independent artists could do. So what advice would you give for upcoming independent artists?
For upcoming independent artists, study music business. As I was told from my father, I haven't fully grasped, but I see it through the success of others. 95 to 98% business, 2 to 5% show. If any of those numbers are off, what are you doing it for? Because if you're saying you want to be a part of the business of music and don't understand the business of music, you will always be jerked. You will always be played. You will always be treated unfairly.
I'm so happy that you mentioned that. I was watching podcasts. I apologize that I don't know the name of the platform, but they were discussing recent events in the music industry. And one of the things that they pointed out was that now, because of like a 360 deal, and how certain companies, when they sign you, they own so much, even just automatically, any content, any deal that you get, any, sponsorship that you get, they're getting a piece of it. Right. So that's why you've seen so many artists recently become entrepreneurs. Yeah. Because it's weird, because it's like that business might not be their strong suit, or, economics or financial might not be their strong, they're an artist, right? They're creative, but they've had to learn. If you notice, a lot of people that are in the music business have gotten into other forms of business, like Nicki Minaj. I think she has a liquor or something like that, right?
A lot of that's funny. Everybody's getting liquors right now. That makes us look at what the agenda is with this, because all these artists are jumping into liquor brands.
But they have to do something that's outside of their 360 deal to actually even make some money. Like, they look glamorous.
Because all they make is performance. All they're getting is performance pay, but then when they're not on tour, there's no money being made for them. Their bills are piling up. What does that mean?
They got to fund that lifestyle.
They have to sign a new deal to now be able to have enough leisure to stay in their fame of life.
Yeah, because they have to keep up with the Joneses.
Keep up the image.
Right.
They want to keep up the image, so the bills are catching up. And the integrity, if you was able to do it once, you can do it again, as they say, right? So in the right position or the worst position, you may just now take on that unintegral attribute again. You know what I mean? So
you have to be really careful. You definitely have to know the business. So would you say, like, now, artists are not just artists, they're entrepreneurs. They have to be business savvy. They have to be
business savvy. I mean, like, not in the capacity of your love, right? But like, if you're doing this just for love, then do it just for love. But if you're saying that to be seen or known or things, then you have to engage in the business side of it. There's no running away from that responsibility. If that's the type of art you're wanting to present, you have to take on the level of responsibility as any type of entrepreneur. You know, there's a level of responsibility that no one can do for you, and you can do. No one can teach you how to read the contract. You have to learn how to read the contract, or have a person willing to now guide you while you're reading that contract.
Someone that you trust.
At that part. Part. So we are the opportunity. No one's giving a job. They're looking for an opportunity. So once you realize that you're the opportunity, because every time you go to a job and they giving you an interview, they're asking you of attributes and skills that you have, because you are the opportunity. You're going to make their job or their company, their brand much better. They're not offering anything. They're asking because they know you're the opportunity. They don't have an opportunity. You are the opportunity. And once you realize that, you can just simply create the opportunity.
Oh my gosh. So many people going for jobs that if they heard that, you know.
Exactly. If you knew that you was the opportunity, because think about it. They're asking
true.
you, what is your skill sets? Also, what are you willing to do to make us look better? You know, we picking this person because he has what it takes. We can see it in him that he's just going to do it all for us and make us better. And then he does do it. At the end of the day, he does for them, but doesn't do it for him or her. We are the opportunity. Once we realize that, we can just simply create any opportunity, because everybody is looking for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this has been an enlightening conversation in terms of marketing, business, artistry. You know, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Prince Imagine.
Thank you.
How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, you can get Prince Imagine, y'all, on everything. YouTube, all social media platforms. My website, falsettoking.com. Just giving that out, y'all. Yeah, just right here, you know, on this channel, y'all. Exclusive, falsettoking.com, y'all, right? That's there for y'all. And subscribe. There's so much more to come. And you know, so much I want to share that I can't share at the moment, but it is coming. Just stay tuned, you know.
Cool. And that's Prince Imagine.
Prince Imagine.
That's E-M.
Don't spell my name right? You gotta spell my name right, y'all. Right, Prince. Imagine with an E.
Yes, instead of an I.
And, you know, many people may ask, what is Prince Imagine, right? Prince Imagine means a prince imagining to be king. That's what it means.
I like that. I didn't know. Now the mystery is solved.
Right.
That's awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
This is WHCR 90.3 FM. This has been PJ's show, and I'm your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury. We'll see you back next week, same time, same place. Peace.